Hello and welcome to Catholic Answers Live. Oh, it's going to be a good 2 hours today. Flannel Panel, both hours where we talk about the news of the day from a Catholic perspective. Maybe it's a slow news time, but we'll make it interesting. I promise. I know there's not much news out there, but we'll make it interesting. Let me introduce the members of the panel. I, your host, Cy Kellett, am wearing a flannel shirt. Chris Check, president of Catholic Answers, wearing his flannel shirt. Hello, Chris Check.
Cy, thanks for having me. Can I say a quick thank you?
Yes.
I want to say a thank you to my dear friends at Salt and Light Radio in Idaho, Keith Pettyjohn, chairman of the board, and Hope and Brian and the rest of the crew there. I was in Idaho for 4 days, 4 cities, 4 talks, helping to promote Salt and Light Radio with the Vigil Project, a great praise and worship band. And these people just are the loveliest people I've ever met in my life.
Thank you for saying. I'm glad that you said that.
I'm
because
quite serious.
I know that you're quite serious, and I have to warn Joe of something. Chris has been around nice people for 5 days. No, I'm deadly serious about this. That means he has pretended to be nice for 5 straight days. He is in a terrible mood. I just wanted Joe Heschmeyer, apologist here at Catholic Answers. Are you ready for it, Joe? Are you ready to deal with a somewhat peptic Chris Check?
I think that's part of the theme of the show, isn't it?
I don't know. But
wait, let him complain about the fact that I'm not wearing the right kind of shirt.
Yeah, what is that?
Why aren't you wearing the right kind of shirt? What's wrong with you, Heschmeyer?
Is that a Midwest bowling shirt? Isn't it?
It is.
It's called the Flannel Panel. Why would you?
Yes. Full disclosure: the Flannel Panel happens at 5 p.m. Central, and I never look ahead that far in my day to think what's going to happen later. Like I'm not the type of person who goes out with an umbrella if it's not currently raining.
Well, yeah, okay, fair enough. But I'm a disorganized person, and I have a flannel on. And I admit that I'm wearing the flannel because Edgar is out, and I stole it out of his office because I forgot to bring one today. Yes, this is Edgar's.
How's it I'm the only one who remembered without any help?
About a half hour ago, I was going through the offices looking for someone who had a flannel shirt, and thank goodness it was Edgar.
I need to get us an emergency supply of flannels for the office. That's what my clear takeaway from this.
Speaking of which, Edgar's baby was made into a Christian on Monday.
I know, little Emilio. I love his name.
Emiliano.
He has. Do you think he's the only baby on earth named Emiliano McGuire? I can't imagine that there's another baby whose first name is Emiliano and middle name is McGuire.
When he has a LinkedIn page, it'll be the only Emiliano McGuire.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to get right. Here's what we do on the Flannel Panel. We put on flannel shirts usually, but it is part of the charm of the Flannel Panel that, as Joe reminded us before the show, there's no enforcement mechanism. There's no penalty for not. So sometimes we just don't, but it's still called the Flannel Panel. And when we put on these flannel shirts, we talk about the news of the world from a Catholic perspective. And I want to tell you about a text that the three of us had this morning. This will be news to everyone, including Joe Heschmeyer, because he never looks at the texts. But here's the problem that happened in my town of Oceanside. I was driving on the freeway, and so I did not hear this. But when I got home, the question was, did you hear that loud bang? And everybody in town was like, what's that loud bang? Well, because it was scary. It was loud. It rattled windows. And we're used to loud stuff because we're next to a Marine base. Like, they're literally blowing things up all the time. But this was not like that. And so, you know what it turned out to be? SpaceX decided to land a rocket like 20 miles from the coast, off the coast of Oceanside. And the thing broke the sound barrier. I don't know how fast it was going, but it was. And so it made an enormous sonic boom that scared the daylights out of everyone. And now I'm so mad at SpaceX, and I don't want them to go to space anymore. And then I started reading about SpaceX and sonic booms. Every time they shoot these things up there, they bring them back down, and they hit somebody with a sonic boom. You could land them in the middle of the ocean, but it probably costs another $83, and we can't have Elon Musk paying that. So they land them off off my house. So this new rocket... I
do like the idea of a noise ordinance violation because you had a rocket land.
I know, but this new thing that they're building, they're going to shoot it off hundreds of times a year to get to Mars. It's called Starship, and it's I don't even know how big it is. It's bigger than the moon. That's what I've been told. I don't know if that's scientifically accurate, but I've been told it's bigger than the moon. The sonic boom...
Okay, let me try to paraphrase this to make sure I'm understanding your argument correctly.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Cy. I'm a homeowner in Southern California, part of the privileged elite.
Oh, come on.
And I have rockets flying by my house because I live in a futuristic utopia, and I'm complaining about the noise. Did I more or less get it?
I don't know if you got the tone right, but you got the.
Okay.
You got the. I think the message is yes. This other thing happens to me. All right, because everyone in California lives within 8 feet. It's the law. You have to live within 8 feet of a major freeway. You are not allowed to build a house more than 8 feet away from a 10-lane freeway. So this is what we hear all the time. It's motorcycles who have no, what's that thing called? Muffler. Just.
I thought you were going to say concern for others, but yeah.
Yeah.
Or themselves, the motorcyclists.
Now,
true.
Yeah, well, that's true. And I got nothing against motorcyclists. I think that should be illegal to make a sound that is so loud that it's waking babies up. I'm sorry. I think that should be illegal. So I think we're not taking this noise thing seriously enough. I think if we're going to live together in the modern world, somebody needs to go, look, keep it down. That's what I want. I want a president of the United States that says, look, could you all just keep it down?
I totally agree. I completely agree with you, Cy.
Music from neighboring cars. Like, I want to choose the music that I'm listening to when I'm driving. If I'm hearing yours, that bothers me. I think maybe on the same level of a rocket.
So now sometimes the music is loud, but sometimes it's ridiculously loud. Like you're worried for the health of the people in that car.
Yes.
That can't be good for you. I think your kidneys are being injured by whatever you're doing in there.
Right.
And because my kidneys are being injured by it.
I mean, they might be like dissolving a kidney stone by vibration or something. We don't know.
But I think we act like these things are nothing. And you know what? SpaceX did. They put out a press release about this sonic boom that was outside my house. The rocket landed outside my house. That's the way I'm thinking of it now. And it was this super happy, that's the sound of, I don't know. It was I'll find it and read it to you. But it was like, enjoy the noise from the future or something. And I was like, I'm not enjoying the noise. Just keep it down, SpaceX. There's an entire ocean out there. Go land in the middle of it. Why are you landing near my house?
I'm going to probably irritate as many folks as I did in the previous segment here.
I doubt that, Chris. Let's take a vote. How many think that Chris is going to be as irritating as he was? Nobody voted.
No, I think
go ahead.
Probably the people who are annoyed with you on the first time have also gotten mad at Elon Musk. So they're probably they would have been annoyed a month ago.
I just think an extraordinarily disproportionate amount of resources is devoted to space exploration.
Well, I don't know what the billionaires are supposed to do with their money, Chris. What are you talking about? What do you want to do, feed the poor?
There's a wonderful line in Chesterton about going to the moon or something, and this is before anybody went. But he said, for me, no one has answered the question of why you would want to go there.
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
I don't.
I remember when Newt Gingrich was going to colonize the moon, and I thought, well, why don't we start with the Sahara Desert? There's oxygen there.
Yeah, I know. The Sahara Desert is a million times more amenable than Mars or the moon.
Yeah.
Elon Musk has actually been pretty clear about why he thinks that Earth is doomed, and so he wants to begin the long-term plan to create kind of an evacuation program.
Yeah, because you know why he wants to get off? Because it's so noisy here, and he's the guy.
So I think you're making a very good point about noise. I think it goes I'd like to take it a little bit deeper. It isn't just loud noises, for example, like the motorcycle that you're describing, or the drone, or the sonic boom. Those are distracting and irritating. But we live in a world of constant noise.
Yeah,
there's what I would call the enervating din, of modern communication technology.
Yes.
And so it's very hard for us to be collected, which is sort of the posture we need to pray. I recommend a book for our listeners by Mother Mary Frances Poor-Claire from New Mexico, written in the 60s, called Spaces for Silence. And Mother Mary Frances argues that we spend most of our lives living with someone that we really don't know very well, and that person is ourselves. And we get to know ourselves in silence, and in particular in silence before God. It's a superb series of meditations. My friend Dan Kerr gave me a copy of it. But imagine the world Mother Mary Frances is writing in the middle of the 60s. You've got, the television and the radio or something. But we're always near noise and often surrounded by noise. And often, as you observe, Si, not of our own choosing. Somebody's got they're in line at the grocery store, they're watching a YouTube video or whatever it is, or the music from someone's car. Or why does a car stereo have to have more decibels? Is that the word, decibels?
Yeah.
Than the first Beach Boys concert. It's insane.
Right, and I'm sure that it does.
Oh, no, 100% true.
I'm sure that you're actually right about
true.
that.
It's nuts. But we're not going to get collected and know ourselves, much less God, if we can't get in the habit of being quiet. Here's another, as long as I'm in the soapbox here, when I became president of Catholic Answers, kind of to deal with the stress of the job, John Sorensen started taking me out on these mountains to climb around, and then I would start hiking. And when I first started doing it, I went in with the earbuds. This is so stupid. I'd have music in my ears, and it kind of does make you move faster and get your heart rate up and everything. But I was completely oblivious to the natural beauty that was around me. Because you shut off one set of senses. Once you remove the earbuds, all the other senses come alive as well. And I started recognizing, because if you come to Southern California, you've never been here or lived here, all the shrubs look the same, especially in July, right? But actually, it's a very biodiverse.
Because they're on fire.
Right. So it's a very biodiverse county. And then all the different smells and the sounds of the birds, and there are many different kinds of birds out here. And so all the senses come alive when we turn off the noise.
Well, I love you saying that, and I don't think that you're on a soapbox at all about that. And Cardinal Sarah wrote that beautiful book on silence. Yep. But it seems to me that we only have a mentality of rights. Yeah. And Elon Musk has a right to shoot his rockets and make his sonic booms and all that, but we never have the language of the common good. And so the guy on the motorcycle go, I got a right to ride. Okay, I don't want to hurt your right to ride your motorcycle, but there is such a thing as the common good. And if you've got your big beautiful hog with no mufflers on it, you're really upsetting people. I'm not saying this is a minor inconvenience. There are people in their homes who are, just try to imagine that not everyone is like you. Some people are vulnerable. Some people are babies. Some people are seniors. They can't handle what you can handle as far as the noise goes.
Si, that is some of the best life advice I've ever heard.
Well, try to imagine
that. You should give a graduation address.
Yeah, right.
No, really, it would take about 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Graduates, I want to tell you, try to imagine not everyone is like you.
Right. Because what the
you'll spend the rest of your life doing this, by the way.
There's no defense against, well, it's not that loud. It's, you know what? Ask other people if it's loud. The world is not looking for your opinion on it when you're riding your mufflerless motorcycle through people's neighborhoods. You need to ask them, is this too loud? Because every single person is going to say, dude, that is so far too loud. You have no concern for the common good. Whenever you think of your rights, you should also be thinking, does whatever I'm doing serve the common good? This is one of the greatest things the Catholic Church has to teach the world, that you're responsible for the peace of the world. You're not outside of responsibility for that, and you're responsible for the good of others. There's a common shared good, or there's no goods at all. All of it goes away if there's not a common shared good.
Do you know the one place where they do enforce the noise ordinances?
Singapore.
No.
Oh,
it's well, probably, but in the United States, it's on the sidewalks outside of abortuaries. There, you absolutely have to keep your voice down, and it can't raise above whatever it is, 30 decibels.
I didn't even know
which
that.
As our friend Paul Jonah points out, the ordinance is so onerous. It's about the amount of noise a home refrigerator makes, or something like that. So you
see, really, I didn't even know.
Really have to talk sotto voce. This is in California anyway.
Right. Outside an abortion clinic.
Yeah, you have to keep your voice down. That's the one place you do have to be quiet.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow, but you can...
I would like to see the lawsuit between an abortion clinic and Elon Musk for the sonic boom.
Yeah, I don't think it applies to rockets. Only people who are trying to save babies. Yeah.
Which sounds extremely close to an intentional First Amendment restriction.
Yeah, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, right. It seems very selective, doesn't it? If a selective enforcement, isn't that by definition harassment?
Well, it is unconstitutional to do viewpoint discrimination contrary to the First Amendment. This has been, and so they'll say, "Oh no, you can't say anything. You can't say anything pro-abortion outside the abortion clinic either." It just so happens.
Well, in England, you can't think. You can't
pray silently. It's too loud for England.
That's right.
Yeah, it upsets England if you pray
you can't
silently.
think pro-life thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw, they just passed worse abortion laws than they already had. They're going in positively the wrong direction, and it was a small minority that it withstood it. A lot of the Muslim MPs actually tried to stand up against it. So credit where it's due. It's unfortunate that so many self-described Christians wanted to kill off the next generation. That's so depressing. There's so many layers to that. But that's a right. We can't speak about the common good. Is this good for us that we live in a society where we don't say no to anybody? I think that's what it comes down to is, and I feel like today the Supreme Court might have said, no, you get to say no to some people. Like people who want to cut off parts of young women's bodies. I think the Supreme Court, Joe, you're the lawyer, but it seemed to me that what that decision meant was, no, we can say no to that. Like, if you can't say no, your society is defenseless.
So here's the difficulty, Si, with your common good, and I know you and I share a definition of that, and Joe does as well, but I venture to say that it's getting increasingly difficult to have a common definition of it. So what is good anyway, and what's common? Right. But I would say we have a common objective to help one another find his salvation, and that should be that should be our point of departure for whatever's the common good. But I think I'm in the minority.
I think you are. That's right, because if you don't have a shared view of what the truth is, or even that there is such a thing as the truth, then arriving at the common good seems almost impossible. I have always been I love Pope Paul VI, and his letter Evangelii Nuntiandi, he says the pornographers have more rights than the evangelists, essentially. I'm paraphrasing what he said. Like the evangelist is told, no, you go away, be quiet, you can't. But the pornographer is told, oh, we can't say no to you. I just don't, like, what happened to us as a society that we can't just say no to some stuff? Like, no, we're not doing that. You got to say yes to everything.
I strongly encourage our listeners. Paul VI is known, of course, for Humanae Vitae, but that apostolic exhortation on evangelization is superb. And by the way, our friend Tim Staples is building his conference talk around that.
Paul VI?
Yeah. Yep.
It was Tim that introduced me to that letter, and I'll never be the same. It's that good.
It's brilliant.
It's so good.
I want to say something that's got a lot of potential red meat in there, more than I intend. But Jonathan Haidt has a piece in the New York Times, I think today, and one of the things that they did is they interviewed parents. So if you're not familiar, he's the author of The Anxious Generation, and they asked parents, when I think about my child's experience growing up, I wish blank had never been invented. And then they asked about all sorts of things, and some of them are really bizarre. So 9% of people thought they wished bicycles had never been invented for reasons beyond me, maybe bicycle accidents. But the ones that he was focused on were like the social media. So 62% of parents say they wish TikTok had never been invented. But actually the number one thing that parents wished hadn't been invented, do you know what it was?
Is it the television?
The screen?
No, pornography.
Huh.
72% of parents said that they wish pornography had never been invented. And it occurred to me that politicians, if they were savvy, would tap into that and say, hey, we're going to regulate this industry really heavily or try to outlaw it completely. And 72% of Americans who have kids are behind that, at least on paper. And at least make people decide, do I care more about my lust or my children? And I think it would be worth seriously pursuing. But yeah, as you say, Si, there's more rights given to them than the person bringing outside the abortion clinic. And you think, which one is doing more damage to people by literally any measure? And it shouldn't take a moment to figure out the answer to that.
Yeah, and I don't think that if you want to oppose me with speech, I don't care. I think I do believe you have the right to, if you want to speak against God, if you want to say whatever you want. But that's not what pornography is. Pornography is not speech. Pornography is when it's presented to children, it's child abuse
poison.
Is what it is.
It is.
Like this is not. So if you want to argue with me about pornography, I don't want to stifle your speech or quiet you down. I don't want pornography to be anywhere. Like this should. It's abuse from beginning to end. Now, do I think that it should all be outlawed and all? I mean, I think you'd have to refer back to Aquinas's distinction between immoral things that should be illegal and immoral things that should be legal. But it's certainly we're not even having that debate. We're having a debate about how, like, at the extreme periphery of what the human being can even tolerate as far as images, should that be allowed or not? That's how extreme the debate.
You could heavily regulate with a combination of age verification. You could have penalties for adults who expose children intentionally or negligently to pornography. And if you really regulated that and enforced it, you would see a sea change, I think.
5 years ago, we were all over ourselves trying to eradicate or prevent the effects of a virus. And pornography is a vastly, vastly worse virus. And it's one, by the way, that we could eradicate if we want to.
And I think Joe's right. There is this weird thing about very powerful minorities. And sometimes they're religious, very powerful religious minorities. I mean, I don't
know where you're going with that. So, no, I'm just kidding.
But the pornography industry, even if it's just 28% of people who are full-throated, they use the term sex positive to make it seem like everybody else is against sex or something. And it's actually really sex positive to not use pornography. I just want you to know, or to not, I don't know, take 18-year-old girls and enslave them essentially in this life, and 18 is an adult. Okay. I don't know how many 18-year-olds but whatever legally is the case, you should not be doing that to young girls. And you're a creep if you are, and all of that. But the power of that minority is disproportionate for some reason, and I think a lot of it has to do with, frankly, major news media. They're afraid to take it on because they work for companies that are profiting from it.
The other thing with a lot of unpopular industries, you'll have a small group of people who are doing something they make a lot of money doing that most people are opposed to, but not very actively opposed to. Like, they kind of wish it didn't exist, but the people who are making millions of dollars off of it or more are much more motivated to fight for its continued easy access than ordinary people who just have the souls of themselves and their children to worry about are interested in opposing it. And so that's kind of on us. Like, if we were as motivated and organized to fight against it as the people who want it are in favor of fighting for it, feckless politicians would give in, not out of any principle.
Oh yeah,
politicians, just because that's where the winds are going.
Right. People talk about how corrupt politicians are. That's because human beings are corrupt and weak, and all. Right. You have to make them do the stuff that you want. But I do think too, though, there's a secret sauce that that's in the mix here, and that is that every modern human being, and maybe all human beings through all time, are terrified of people rolling their eyes at them. And we just don't want to speak up because we think we'll be embarrassed because somebody else will go, "Oh, you're a prude." And then the minute they label me a prude, somehow my life is destroyed. And we just need to be brave. We need to go, no, just stop doing that. So, Chris, you were going to make a point.
I was just going to say, Cy, because you brought up the question, you brought up the reality that so many people are concerned about being judged badly or having someone roll his or her eyes at them if they express a moral position. So really all I was going to say, actually, it's in Mother Mary Frances in Spaces for Silence. She makes the point that for the Christian who knows and has put his trust in the God who loves him, the opinions of the world suddenly utterly disappear.
Right.
They completely go away.
Do you know what? Sometimes I think, Chris, it actually is because you get a different audience. You replace that audience, and now you're like, when you get an audience of like, oh, the saints in heaven are actually watching me. Like, if you actually come to believe that, or at the moment you just don't feel like you're like, oh, that's the audience I got to please. And I think that's a big part of the Catholic faith. Actually, is the knowledge that, they're cheering you on.
Yes.
So
yes.
let's try to meet their standards and not the world standards.
Yeah, and by the way, these topics, difficult as they are to talk about, are the real opportunities to evangelize.
That's right. Yes, that's a very good point. Yeah, and we all need, again, go back to Paul VI, Evangelii Nunciani, one of the great letters of the modern church. Right. Check it out. Are we gonna have any more?
Well,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I
Joe.
was just gonna say, it's a little bit like marriage. Like when you are dating, you have the terrible pressure, or particularly when you're not yet dating but would like to be, like trying to be appealing to the most number of people possible, and just like, how do I get my act together and all of that? And one of the beautiful things about being in a relationship and certainly being married is you kind of have an audience of one.
Yeah.
And the spiritual life is similar, where you have an audience of one now. And as long as you're making God happy, and the saints in heaven are rejoicing at your decisions, you're good to go. And so it doesn't matter if that's not the taste of the broader populace. Everything else fades away in the background.
That's one of the great things about marriage is you're only disappointing one woman.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what you're saying, Joe?
I mean, I'm probably disappointing a lot, but I only care that I'm disappointing.
Yeah, you only care that you're disappointing one woman now. I feel like I should have mentioned at some point that we're going to do a flannel panel in Europe.
We are. It lasts something
I feel like I neglected that. I apologize.
It lasts something like 10 or 12 days.
10 or 12 days with the flannel panel on the Rhine
River.
River.
Long flannel panel.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk. Wait, we won't talk the whole time.
Yeah, the Catholic Rhineland. What is the date for that? It's early May of next year.
May 2026.
Yes.
It starts May 2nd, I believe.
It starts in Amsterdam and goes upstream, even though on the map it looks like it's down. It's actually going up. Right.
Yes.
Ends in Basel. Cologne has one of the most magnificent cathedrals in the world.
And the three the three wise men.
Hildegard of Bingen.
Yep. Doctor of the church.
We'll travel through St. Boniface's country. There's so much rich Catholic history here, so many beautiful churches to see, magnificent cities of Europe. Here's the other thing, Si. This thing is a whale of a deal. The price to come on it, and depending on what cabin you get or whatever, there's some difference, but it absolutely covers every single thing. So all your meals, your room, and all the shore excursions.
Oh, everything's covered. You're not paying for anything.
Yeah, you got to pay to get there. I think you got to.
No, once you've paid.
You start walking now, you'll make it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, soup to nuts. It's all covered by the fee.
And it's the best river. I actually have looked this up. I can't remember the name. What's the name of the cruise? The line.
Oh, Emma.
Emma. Is that how you're supposed to say it?
We used them when we did the Danube. They're superb. I'm just going to say they're better than Viking.
But that's what everybody says. They're better than Viking.
Yeah.
They get higher ratings than Viking cruises. And you know who uses Viking cruises? National Public Radio.
Oh,
is that true? I'm surprised they're not offended by the word Viking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Go to CatholicCruise.com and you can find out all of it.
CatholicCruise.com.
CatholicCruise.com will get
Joe
you there.
Heschmeyer, Cy Kellett, and we have a superb chaplain from the Norbertines, Father Sebastian Walsh, who is a regular guest on your radio program.
Yeah, we love Father Sebastian Walsh, a great Norbertine priest and the author of beautiful books, including the Secrets from Heaven, the book that we give away all the time. Whenever we have someone on the air that I think could use some spiritual consolation or some silence, some interior peace, I give them his book, the Secrets from Heaven.
The whole boat is Catholic Answers. We've charted the entire boat. So everybody on there is a Flannel Panel fan.
Except for the actual members of the Flannel Panel who are not fans of any of the other members.
No, everyone there loves Jesus, loves the Catholic Church. You're gonna be in the company of good people and having a great time, a spiritually rewarding time, enriching. And CatholicCruise.com. The boat, I think we've already sold almost a third of it. So I'm going to set up your next topic here, Si. I'm going to segue. Can I do the segue?
Yes, please.
The internet, for its many, many ills, has made it possible for anyone who really wants to find the truth to be able to find it.
And you know what? I would even add an addendum to that. And one of the great things about that is there are many, many, many people who really want to find the truth.
Yep.
Yeah. And that is something very good.
You can start with Shameless Popery or Catholic.com or Council of Trent or Catholic Answers Live All those are very good places to find the truth. And I feel like a lot of young people are finding the truth.
I do as
Did
well.
I just segue you
Well,
there?
that's an excellent segue. Thank you for that segue, because you might be surprised to hear this, but one of our good friends from national public radio, Audie Cornish.
We haven't heard from Audie in a while.
Yeah, because she works for CNN now. She does a podcast called The Assignment at CNN. And she may still be on National Public Radio, but I've stopped listening to National Public Radio, so I don't know. I used to listen to it just to keep my blood pressure up because I have low blood pressure, and but my blood pressure is healthy, so I don't need to listen anymore. And she does a thing called The Assignment on CNN for their CNN's trying to get into the podcasting business. CNN has to find something that makes money because nothing they do does. So they're in the podcasting business, and so it's a long interview that she does, and she did one called "Catholicism is so hot right now. Why?" And it was a very good conversation, and I'm going to say it was a very good conversation for two reasons. One, it was long. And this is not a topic that you should handle in a short conversation. And two, her guest was Christine Emba. And do either of you know Christine Emba? She's a journalist for the New York Times, but she's a convert to the Catholic faith. She wrote a book that was kind of famous a little while ago, which I'll have to find the name of it. I'm sorry that I'm blanking on it right now. But the book was about how there needed to be we needed a new sexual ethic. And it was written for a secular audience, but what she was presenting was essentially a Pope John Paul ethic, I think, in a secular. She was saying, look, we have to stop being about hookups and pleasure and for the mere sake of entertainment, and be about living for the good of the other person, and that's how you'll end up having a good sex life. And so she's quite impressive. I think she's. I'm sure there's a lot of things we might disagree with her about. I remember at one point in the conversation, Audie Cornish made some joke about access to reproductive care or something, and Christine Emba seems entirely sympathetic to that. So I'm not saying that I've discovered somebody who I agree with every word she says. I'm just saying this is a very impressive person. And so it was interesting to hear what they had to say about why is Catholicism hot right now? Why is it? So we got a National Public Radio, CNN voice speaking to a New York Times writer who is herself a convert to the Catholic faith on this topic. And one thing that I did think was lacking in it was I did not, at least if she did, I missed it. None of Christine Emba's answers included the theological or the spiritual. It was all sociological. It was what can we see in society that made this be a Catholic moment? And I think that misses an opportunity. I don't think we should be ashamed because Christine Emba is a Christian, a Catholic. I don't think we should be ashamed of saying, well, Audie, God has something to do with this, but we could talk about the sociologicals, but she didn't do that. And so I did think that was missing. But did either of you get a chance to hear that? Have you heard any of the, or shall I share with you?
I'd forgotten the names of the people involved, but I remember the clip. I looked it up, and yes, and I didn't actually watch the whole thing. I think I got terribly distracted halfway through, but I was pleased with what I saw. Yeah,
one of the things was the world is liquid and people are looking for something solid. That's not their words. That's their. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but was a sense that morals and roles. That's a word that they use. I find roles a very funny word. It's a very sociological word. I don't believe that when a man is being a man, he's playing a male role. That's right. That's a silly way to talk about what we're doing. But nonetheless, fair enough. So when gender roles and morals and even the questions of basic philosophical questions are all liquid, people are attracted to something solid to the Catholic Church. Does that offend either of you?
No, I'm not offended by that.
It's a good way of describing, like, the heart of Catholicism is we're living in reality. And when you're living in unreality for a long time, then reality can seem very appealing. And ultimately, we choose it because it's true, not because it's appealing. You know, a delusion might be appealing. But the fact is, like, living in reality is liberating compared to living in falsehood.
I wonder if I might put the categories in these terms. You said fluid, and that's true. I also think the modern world is exhausting.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was getting at with my noise thing.
I think, yeah, sure. I just think it's exhausting. It's enervating. People are tired and anxiety. There's a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
And so, what does the Catholic Church propose anyway? And let's look into it. Stability, peace. Actually, I think peace is a word that we hear quite a bit from, Jesus.
Well, yeah, like people will say, well, from Jesus certainly, but also from people who encounter the Catholic thing, the Catholic life, right. They'll go, like I've heard Protestants say, I resisted Mary, I resisted Mary, I resisted Mary. I heard someone praying the rosary, and I had never heard such peaceful prayer in my life. They've always heard prayer that's of an ecstatic nature or a wordy nature, and the quiet, peaceful repetition of the prayers which is not vain repetition, it's wholesome repetition, struck them as peaceful.
Yeah, I don't want to move away from this point because I think it's very beautiful, but there was a thing you said that's kind of stuck with me, like your description of solidity versus liquidity. And can I do a very nerdy metaphysical thing for a moment? When we're talking about...
Wait, you asked a question. We need to get a vote. And
can
Joe
please.
Do a nerdy
I feel quite confident he can.
I think he can.
Should
we pot him down while he does it, or should we share it with the world? What do you want? Darren says you can go. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So metaphysically, there are different properties of being. So when we're talking about a thing that exists, we can say different things about it. So to say that X exists, you mean that X is one. But there's all these different properties of being. And one of the properties that doesn't get a lot of attention is something called aliquidity. It's like a liquid, but like it has, in other words, definition. And so to believe in a thing, you have to believe that there's something that it's not. Because if you don't have a boundary to your idea, you don't have an idea. And what our world is lacking is aliquidity. And so, like, marriage is whatever you want it to be. Love is whatever you want it to be. Man is whatever you want it to be. Woman, whatever you want it to be. And when you do that to words, when you blow the doors off of the definition, then they don't mean anything anymore. And so you can enter into this world of unmeaning where you have a kind of sense of the thing's meaning, but it doesn't have any boundaries. So everything is kind of blurry and out of focus. And so with the church, reality comes into focus in a different way because there's aliquidity. There is definition and boundary and meaning and structure. And so things fit together. And so they complement each other in a beautiful way, but not by the kind of blurry everything is everything else way that the culture does.
Yeah, so this way of seeing human experience, I think, goes back at least to the Enlightenment, probably a little bit before even. Because I desire something, I can have it. We were talking about rights earlier.
Right.
But it is certainly accelerated in just a flash with the new devices.
But there are other things that can give structure. I mean, I like Marxism is very structured. It can't simply be structure.
Marxism is there's no ritual to Marxism.
Well, now we're going on to it, but that's my point. Is it can't simply be that there's structure, therefore people are drawn to it, because other things provide structure as well.
Yeah, yes. I'll just repeat this. I think they have to have some kind of rules. Are there rules to Marxism? It's a theory. It's a political theory.
Yeah.
But say Alcoholics Anonymous has rules, and it has ritual to it as well.
It certainly does, yeah.
Yeah, and so a lot of people find stability in there. Now,
stability is better even than structure. That's a better word. I think that's what people.
Yeah.
Stability is a better
peace,
word. Yeah.
Right now, I think the sacramental life of the church is going to even give you, infinitely more than AA might, or any kind of addiction group. But yeah, so ritual, regulation. These things, in fact, they seem like reactions almost to the aliquidity that Joe describes.
Well, there's the Carthusian motto: "Stat crux indum volvitur orbis."
If I've
the
said
cross
it once,
stands firm while the earth turns.
Yeah.
Wow.
While everything else goes crazy, this is stability and order and firmness.
Why do I have a hard time believing Descartes said that?
Well,
No, not Descartes, the Carthusians.
Oh, Carthusian. Oh, I thought you said Cartesian.
Slightly different.
I thought you said
Bruno of
Cartesian.
Cologne.
Okay, yeah. All right, good. Let's clear that up.
I don't think
And
that.
so, yeah, I'm glad to have the opportunity to clear that up.
Yeah.
Cartesian.
Okay, but so this idea
Potato.
this idea that people are looking for something solid in a liquid world, they Audie Cornish and Christine Emba then move from this into the idea that men are more attracted to this than women, and that's why we're seeing a male influx into the Catholic Church. And I'll just have to take their word on that. I've not seen those statistics, but they seem to feel that there was good reason to say more men are being drawn into the Catholic faith at the moment than women are. I don't know how close, but whatever it is, men generally tend in American society to be less religious than women. As a matter of fact, the prevailing idea, and I can't give you any proof of this, is that in Christian societies, women are more religious than men, whereas in Muslim societies, men are more religious than women.
Well, I don't know if you saw, but this just changed in the U.S.
That's
like
what
within the last.
But that was their
Okay.
point.
Okay.
Yes, that this has shifted, and now we're having a moment where men are interested in the Catholic faith. So let me ask you this then: if it were Audie Cornish asking you, why are young men coming to the Catholic Church? What would you say? Why are they?
I would say God has something to do with it, Audie.
God bless you, Chris.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's a supernatural person at work here, the Holy Spirit. He has taken advantage of the conversion of a number of social realities, the unrest that we were talking about, but also the reaction to it, but also the opportunity to find out where the truth is, where maybe it wasn't so widely available. I think about people leaving, for example, the Protestant church or the Mormon church, or even somebody who's just been managing as a relativist. Well, once he starts to look it up, he quickly finds, if his heart is open to it, and here's what the Spirit's involved, he quickly finds, his positions don't bear a lot of scrutiny.
And the thing about the Catholic Church then is that the positions do bear scrutiny.
They do.
You can go as deep as you want.
Hard scrutiny.
Yeah,
Yes.
Think about it as hard as you can. Bring the hardest question you've got.
Yeah.
And there's not just an answer. There's probably a 1,500-year-old answer that's been developed, or in some cases, 2,000 years old. Yeah.
In some ways, the question probably is better, like, why aren't more women converting? Because this is the other way that the trend is kind of being bucked.
Yeah.
Is, you can think about it in either direction. I think it's straightforward why men would be attracted. For one, we live in a culture that, remember everything I just said about kind of like the vagueness? It has no idea what to do with men. It is not built for men. It's not built for boys. Like, you look at the way school treats boys and wants to medicate away masculinity of like, oh, you've got ADHD because you're hyper as a 5-year-old boy. There's something just profoundly like a lack of understanding of the human person in general, but I think of boys in particular. Now, this is true in different ways for girls. But then there's like this deep like failure to appreciate the gift that masculinity is, and of a fear that any kind of celebration of masculinity at all might offend some woman out there. So I actually shared this with you guys on the chat in one of the few times where I checked our text messages. But the Titans, who I think were 3-14 last year, in addition to their on-field success, had some off-field success by, and I'm going to quote them here, wishing Happy Father's Day to all the Titans' moms and fatherly figures. Now, is there any group that you might wish Happy Father's Day to
that's not on that list?
Wasn't mentioned there. Yeah.
Oh, I can't think. It seems like there's a group of people that you would want to mention on Father's Day, but I can't think of who they are. Yeah, that's
what I mean. Like, this would never have happened the other way around. If they had done a Mother's Day message that was just to dads and motherly figures, that wouldn't have flown.
That would have been front
Someone
page
in
news.
PR would have caught that one.
Yeah.
So,
and so in the face of like this failure to have any space for men, the Catholic Church has a clear sense of who you are and what you're made for. And it's, I think, refreshing to have that. That's one reason. The other reason is just like it's true, and men overwhelmingly like apologetics.
Yeah, but what about another reason? And this is one that I think Christine Emba and Audie Cornish were kind of at least hinting at, which is, actually they came out and said it. Catholic women are more amenable to traditional roles, and men are attracted to women who, and again, we go back to that sociological interpretation, but their idea was, well, these young men are attracted to Catholicism because the women who will have babies and will care for the home are in the Catholic Church, so that's where I should go. I'm paraphrasing, but that was the message they were giving. What do you make of that?
I think it goes to the question of maturity or becoming a man. In fact, I appreciate Joe's remarks about boys in school. Probably the worst thing you can do to a 7 or 8 year old boy is make him sit in a classroom for 6 hours. That's a terrible thing to do to a boy. But the other thing that our age has lacked, that previous ages have lacked for men, is some kind of rite of passage. Now, there's a built-in rite of passage for women. It's coming to sexual maturity and having a baby, and that automatically brings a woman into adulthood.
And men lack that.
There isn't a rite of passage for men.
Right.
But there are deep essential elements of the Catholic faith that call on men to be, men, mature.
We're talking about.
I wrote a book kind of about this.
Okay, we'll get it when you come back. We got to take a quick break. We'll continue our conversation about why the Catholic Church is hot right now, according to CNN, on Catholic Answers Live with the Flannel Panel. I feel sometimes that people, and I won't just say people, but I feel sometimes that women in the media make fun of men who want traditional sex roles. I feel like that's a put down in a way. Do you think I'm wrong to take that as a put down? I feel like sometimes that's used as
I think you're absolutely right. I think it just seems like, you're so retrograde. You want the thing that worked in the past instead of the thing that doesn't work now.
No, but I don't think that this demonstrates an arrogance on men's part, which is how it's taken. This is actually an expression of vulnerability on the part of men. A man cannot have what he desires in life if a woman will not bear children. And so it's not a matter of, I hate women, I want all women to be, it's a much more personal thing than that. In the heart of a man, he wants to be a father. And if you, the woman, will not bear children, he can't do it. So he is entirely dependent on you to say yes to the oldest of traditional sex roles, which is women bear children. Only in California have they changed that with the modern science that we have. Do you see what I'm saying? Like this is,
I do.
Men
I think it's even bigger than that.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I think even prior to women being mothers, they're wives, and the man being the provider and the woman being receptive, and all of that dynamic, men want to do that. And that's harder to do right now in a lot of ways. Economically, caring for someone else on a single income and all of those things can be hard. But I think men want, overwhelmingly, and then you see it in the data, they want to take care of women. And I think many women are conflicted where they don't want to feel like they're a burden, and they maybe haven't been trained in any of the domestic arts of, how to care for a house or a husband. And so, and especially women who, their life trajectory was graduate from college or high school, go to college, graduate from college into the workforce, and they learn to care for themselves in a certain way. They're used to being the primary breadwinner of their household of one. And then the idea of giving all of their current trajectory up and entering marriage is quite an abrupt change for women in the modern cast of womanhood, compared to what it is for men who are expected to kind of do the same thing, but now feed twice as many people and eventually maybe several times more people. As a man, your job is more, but now you're doing it for someone besides yourself, which is tremendously satisfying. Like if I'm just working for myself, then hopefully my work is rewarding, but it's ultimately only serving me. And there's something that's shallow about that. But if the thing I'm doing isn't just helping me, it's helping this woman I love and eventually the children that I love, then that gives it tremendous value. But it's tricky because society is set up now where women feel a tremendous pressure to work in marriage and feel almost a necessity to work before marriage, with marriage being as late as it is in life at this point, that it can be a very tricky thing to then transition. If a woman's been working for 15 years in the workforce and then gets married and is just like, well, now what?
Yeah.
What was all of that career advancement for?
Right.
What are all these skills for? And then this other part is just not built up in the same way.
I hope that the moment that Audi Cornish is observing here is in fact a moment, and the pendulum's about to swing, because the marriage rate among Catholics can't get worse.
It's awful.
People
are just not marrying.
We're marrying at about 1/5 the rate that we married when Jack and I were married 34 years ago. 1/5.
34 years ago, 1/5 the number of marriages. That's just devastating.
It can't get worse.
No. But I do want to push back a little bit on Joe Heschmeyer saying, I think you might have moved past what I said to say the man wants to be the provider and not that the man wants children. And I know you weren't saying I was wrong, but I want to go back to that because I'm watching TV the other day and there's a TV commercial and it's a bank commercial. And the young couple is talking about saving money with their banker, and so this is for the bank. And well, if we have that much money, that's kind of the point of the commercial. We could do this or we could do that. And the man says, we could have kids. And the wife says, kid. And this is supposed to be a charming little, moment in a bank commercial. And looking at it, I think, that is devastating to that man. That is devastating to him. Now, I'm not saying all men have the same desire, but why does the male desire for children, why is it treated like a joke, like it's an imposition? Certainly it is an imposition if our lives are meant to be lived for ourselves, but he cannot have that desire fulfilled if she's like the young woman in the bank commercial who's just like, kid. If she's in charge of that. He's not in charge of that. There's nothing he can do about it. And I don't think that the world appreciates the vulnerability of men in this situation. Men want to be dads. And they can't be if women won't be moms.
Why don't they? Why don't they want the thing that most is going to fulfill them?
The women?
Yeah.
I think it's scary. I think it
Somebody
puts you in a very vulnerable
Get
position.
Let's see if we can get Siobhan in here. Think she can come in?
I think a lot of women do want to.
Yeah, I'd like to ask her.
I think
it's true.
You think a lot of women...
Wait a minute. So somebody did the marketing research to make that commercial, or maybe they didn't.
Yeah.
But that woman in the commercial is standing in for... A commercial is supposed to create empathy with the person who's watching it, right?
Right, so she's standing in for the modern woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so someone...
It's wrong.
Someone has this sense that women want one kid or no kids or... But
right. But so how did we get to I think that's right. I mean, part of why we got to that point certainly is that the modern world is atomizing. And when a woman is living in a village and there's lots of people around and she's having children doesn't banish her from society, but more deeply integrates her into society, then she has every impetus to have more children. But today, if a woman has more children, she's more isolated. And I think that is, you have to have compassion on young people, not just be accusatory towards them. And she doesn't want to be isolated in the home. She doesn't want to be pushed away for the next 15, 20 years to where she's alone with children.
Well, and a lot of young women are the children of divorces. And they know if you're going to get pregnant and have kids, you're jeopardizing a lot of your career trajectory.
Yeah, that's right.
If you end up having a guy who's not loyal, he divorces you, he abandons your family, now you're in a real pickle. And so I think it's a scary thing for a lot of young women for all of those reasons, particularly if they come from families where marriage was not modeled well. And so, it takes a lot for a culture to turn women against their own biology. But I think we've largely managed to do it.
Yeah, since Roe v. Wade.
Indeed.
Yeah. So and then what you end up with are, we all hear about the Japanese men. This very, very modern society, Japan. These lonely, isolated, reclusive Japanese men. But that stereotype is not just for the Japanese. I think men withdraw. That's what happens. If I cannot have my desires met in this society. Men withdraw. I think women achieve and men withdraw under those circumstances. Men want to be challenged to take care of things. And when they're not, and when their very perfectly natural desire to be husband and father is thwarted, they withdraw.
Or they'll look for some simulation of it. Like a video game where you kill a lot of people or something like that. Something that's sort of a distortion of masculinity.
And this is why I think our good friend Todd Aguilar says that when robots can truly perform the functions that women perform for men sexually, that's the end of society. There will be no more society at that point. And I used to laugh when he said it, but he's dead serious. He's saying that is the end of society because men will just fall in love with the robot, and that'll be that. There won't be marriages anymore. There won't be couplings anymore. We need people to actually touch each other, skin to skin, or society can't go on.
It's pretty true, yes. Well, this is grim.
Well, I think it's great. So I think you're great. I think it's great. You're encouraging people to touch skin to skin.
Touch each other skin to skin.
Yep.
Within the proper bounds. And
of course. I mean, that's what God said to do. I mean, I'm not saying anything God himself didn't say in the first 2 chapters of his best book, by the way. It's a bestseller, that book. That is what we're supposed to do. And so that's why I'm saying I don't think it's merely... Oh, I did say I was going to tell you the answer to why the Catholic Church in America is having a moment. I'll tell you what I'll do. I put that off. I'm going to do that right after the break. I will tell you, and you're both going to celebrate me, and you are going to say what a wise man I am. That's that because I discovered the answer. I know the answer. Well, welcome back to Catholic Answers Live, Flannel Panel, and we looked for Siobhan because Siobhan is a wise woman and she's a young woman, so she knows what's going on. We're all talking about marriage and why won't women have babies, and I don't think Siobhan wants to talk about any of that. So I just thought I would say hi to you. Thank you. You're the first guest we've ever had on Flannel Panel.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, thank you for the honor. Thank you for the honor of inviting me.
Thank you for pretending it's an honor, Siobhan.
Yes. I was actually, one of the gifts of working here is we finished the day with the Divine Office. So we were playing Vespers in our chapel. And so I walked out.
We took you out of Vespers?
No, I walked out. We finished a little early. And then Luke came down and said, we need you on the show. I'm like, okay.
Well, I didn't mean to force you into it.
Yeah.
I just thought it would be interesting to get your perspective because here's 3 men talking about why men are going through what they're going through. And one of the things that I think we all agreed on, I'm not sure, but I think we had a general agreement was men do want to have children. And it's very hurtful to men that women don't want to have children. But you don't agree with that premise.
I think that was the question asked of me. And I would say most women that I interact with would want to have children. So it might just be in the circles that you're going on. And who you're engaging with, but
what circles do you move inside?
It's mostly sports television. Am I getting the wrong impression about women by watching mostly sports television? So you think that if most young women, if a young man said, "Look, this is what I want in life. I want to work. I want to be a husband and father, and I would like to have more than 1.7 children," you think most women would respond positively to that, not negatively?
I would say, in my opinion, as a woman,
qualify this as much as you want.
That's fine. And as with my limited perspective of what I would say is
you are the humblest person. Oh my gosh.
That there are plenty of women who desire to have children, and I think that is one of the gifts of being a woman. And as long as you run into a man who is, I think, equally of virtue, that you will find that there are still people who are desiring good, holy families. And so...
Thanks be to God.
What does that mean, equally of virtue? So a woman wants a virtuous man, is what you're saying?
A virtuous man. And so I
what
think
does that mean? Oh, sorry, I interrupted you. I apologize. Siobhan, go ahead.
I think And also, I will say this, for the number of children, I think this is something that I've gone, I think there are beautiful families of like many, many children. But there are also beautiful families of one children or no children. And I have, in my recent times, I think, run into a lot of women my age who maybe are having issues with being able to conceive or having children.
Yeah, right.
And so never to negate that as like, this is the standard or goal. And I don't know if that's always taken of like, we need to have this many children to be a Catholic family.
I think Siobhan makes a very good point here. Sometimes there's so almost a competition.
Yeah,
do
so
you
like
own
the
a
number
flannel
of
shirt?
children, I wouldn't qualify as that's like what I should be looking for. Do you want to have 9 kids with me? But are you open to life? Do you want to have kids? And are you going to be able to be in a place of, I think, wherever you are both at, virtuous enough to accept whatever God gives you. So being at a holy indifference of like, if we get 9 kids, great. Yeah. But also, virtue really comes from one of the things that I'm gifted at. And I think when you're in a younger state, you might not be able to think about this or get to that place, but just making sure your day is ordered towards God always. And so whether that's increasing the number of times you can go to Mass, maybe you get to church and adoration as often, prayer. And so within any holy relationship and man, if you guys share that and are seeking the Lord first, all is well.
So Siobhan,
but I don't know.
Siobhan is getting exactly to what we were talking about in the previous segment when Joe described the aliquidity of the world and how the church actually offers ritual or order as opposed to that aliquidity. So this is what the young people are finding attractive.
I think aliquidity and order are the same thing. It's liquidity.
Oh, excuse me, liquidity. Yeah, thank you. Right.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you agreed to come in because so many of those things were really important to say, and I feel bad for having neglected them, particularly the thing you said about family size. That's very, very very helpful.
I've experienced and heard people experience that, especially if you get married later or there are any fertility issues or there's miscarriage or any number of things, they can put a huge pressure. So we don't want it to be, you're running up the score.
Yeah.
That's a real thing. No, as a matter of fact, running up the score is immoral. It is. The child is being treated as an instrument and not as a human being at that point. Yeah. If your goal is to run up the score, you need to get to confession because that's wrong.
Yeah. And we look at the Holy Family, right? They had Jesus, the best one, right? But I think they're a good model anyways, like as a man and a woman. If you're keeping Christ in the center of you, then all is well. So, But I do think women do want to have children, would be my first opinion, as long as you're seeking God. And I think that's one of the issues is a lot of women maybe have been told other things and so you're falling away. But if you get in with a man who has strong virtue, and if you really embrace your femininity as who we are called to be, we're all called to be mothers, we're all called to be brides, and that might look different for each woman, but that is innately in us.
But then why am I looking at media and its depictions of women are that they are negative towards children, that they see that as an imposition of the patriarchy, that kind of thing? Why? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would say because you're looking at media. I don't know. It's not the right. If you look at media for anything,
I'm so tired of Siobhan.
If you talk to people in your pews or in your church, or just like actually have lunch with someone, maybe that's a good way to start. But media, I think, portrays something, and unfortunately, we are all living in a media world. And so, how do you use that well, inform you? I think that's probably a good thing. But yeah, off of media.
I don't want you on the flannel panel. You're going to bring good sense and proportion to what we say. That'll ruin the show.
Can I add another wrinkle to this as well for
but then I got to give the answer. After you do that, I got to give the answer because I have the answer. So go ahead.
I would just say the question of vocation to marriage and all of that is a really important one, but sometimes people jump to that and imagine that'll solve more fundamental problems that they have. That you have to work on the flaws in your own personality and in your own spiritual life. And if you're striving to be a well-rounded, holy person and the kind of person who would be a gift to be married to, then that is the important first step. And in the process, you'll become a great saint, whether you get married or not.
But if I feel like you're... go ahead.
Okay, so I don't think I'm necessarily disagreeing with Joe, but there is a certain point to which a single man or woman can get in pursuit of holiness. Now, maybe they have, a religious vocation. That's a separate question. But marriage transforms the human heart, and this is part of this. Those two stones rubbing against each other smooth over time. And this is why married people don't have to wear hair shirts, and religious people do, because they provide the.
I am my wife's hair shirt.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, you are, Joe.
I think that's true, but I think there's also this dynamic where people who have something missing in their own formation or development, spiritually or emotionally, just at a human level, will imagine that, if I could just find someone willing to marry me as I am, that'll solve that. And it won't solve that.
No.
It'll make it worse.
Because Jesus,
now
you need
your
Jesus
problem
for
is
that.
someone else's problem too.
Right. Let Jesus heal you, and don't put that burden on your spouse.
We were talking about the Patricia Snow article on Taylor Swift a couple of episodes of Flannel Panel ago, and I think this goes right to it. I actually think most of the tweens and young ladies who go to Taylor Swift concerts want to be married and have children. They may not.
She preaches a sort of traditional form of femininity. Obviously, a broken one.
You're talking about Taylor Swift,
right?
Not Patricia Snow.
But they want commitment.
Yeah, both.
they want commitment from a man. The stability that commitment represents, and they want to be moms.
They don't. Yeah.
And they haven't quite figured out, as Siobhan observes, that they've been largely lied to, but they're starting to discover it.
All right, Siobhan, this is the question that I told them I would answer before the end of the show. Mm-hmm. And I would, but far more than their opinions, I would like your opinion about whether I have this exactly right. Now, in the summer, as we approach the summer of 2025, all over the news are reports that there is a resurgence in Catholic life and people have a renewed interest in the Catholic faith in America. What is the primary cause of that? I have the answer.
I know the answer.
Do you know? Go ahead.
The Eucharistic revival 1 year ago.
Boom! That's
Was
it.
I right?
That's it.
I got it.
The Eucharistic Congress in the summer of 2024.
Yeah. And by the way, they were just here in the building yesterday. The pilgrims.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, you. I have this feeling of years and years of, the in season and out of season, we're supposed to share the good news. We're supposed to labor on behalf of the gospel. And I feel like we've been out of season for a long time. And then I feel like we had a Eucharistic Congress and we all acted like it was, just one more thing we got to do. But a Eucharistic Congress is not just one more thing you got to do. Jesus is alive in the Eucharist. And I believe that we're having this moment because we had that moment. What do you think, Siobhan? Tell me what you think.
I had the pleasure of actually attending the National Eucharistic Congress with my brother, which was such a gift. And I think you just saw the joy. And so whatever it is, it's Jesus, it's the Eucharist. And so it does just bring us. That's what we have as a Catholic Church. So yeah, I would agree. It's a beautiful thing. And just a spark of adoration. I know Carlo Acutis is coming up, his canonization. He was really big on the Eucharist too. And it may seem like something, like I grew up not even really knowing what adoration was. And now in my adulthood, I've really embraced it, and it's life-changing because
Jesus is life-changing.
Jesus is. I'm like, how much better can it get than just sitting with Jesus and building that love? And it's a friendship, and it takes a long time to build up, and just that presence is beautiful. So amen to the National Eucharistic Congress.
Yeah, and I feel like every single person can learn a lesson from that, which is, would the church put the Eucharist at the center of its life for a moment, and it's changed everything. What do you think it's going to do for you? What do you think it's going to do for your family, for your problems? Put the Eucharist at the center of your life and just watch the healing and the peace and the joy that comes. I'm not saying you won't suffer, because Jesus said every day, take up your cross and follow. But I'm saying the Eucharist is powerful, and we are witnesses to it this very day here in America.
Cy, thanks for bringing Siobhan in so I can thank her for her
everyone
service
in the comments,
to Catholic
let us know
Answers.
if you want Siobhan to be on more often.
I made it 3 years without
service
making it on, and
to
now
Catholic
I'm on.
Answers.
This is my first time.
All right, well,
I could not do my job without
Well,
it.
first of all, get yourself a flannel shirt, and then
You have flannel shirt.
We'll let people vote. And then if you win the vote, then you're on the flannel.
She can
All right.
replace Joe.
Otherwise,
Can she replace Joe?
She can go on the cruise list.
No one can
It'd be
replace
better to
Joe.
have some more warning. I was
in her
pulled
name.
out of the hallway for this, so at least I know the schedule when it's on next.
But look at how well you did without preparation. Imagine what it'll be with preparation. That'll do it for us. We'll see you next time, God willing, right here on Catholic Answers Live.